Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So today we have something very interesting to review. It is actually a figure that I did not even know existed until recently, as I had spotted this on Mercari when I was just kind of searching around on there for some dinosaur stuff. I usually kind of fluctuate back and forth between a few different websites looking for fun dinosaur deals, and I spotted this really cool Jurassic Park T-Rex figure and instantly was drawn to it because I had never seen it before. I don't know how somehow I missed it and never knew of its release. It is apparently a Lootcrate figure, which I've never purchased a Lootcrate in my entire life, so that's probably why I had no idea that it was a thing, that this figure had ever existed. But once I saw it, I knew I wanted to pick it up, and I did purchase the figure right there and then, and definitely really excited to take a look at it here. I love the box here that we see on the front here. You have like a little image there as far as like the background of many different dinosaur bones, and you have some slash marks here on the front of the box, as well as, of course, a beautiful Jurassic Park logo right there front and center. And then once we turn the box, we can continue to see pretty much that same style of box art, as well as it saying that it is an exclusive to Loot Crate, and then some more slashes here on the back, as well as again some more beautiful images here in the background of some dinosaur bones, including a T-Rex skeleton, which we can see right there. And it also states that it is an adult collectible and not a toy. And then same deal as far as that exclusive over here. So, I don't know about you guys, but I'm super psyched to take a look at this. So let's go ahead and break this out of the box right now. So the figure actually comes in a few different pieces. The very first piece is the base, which is a fantastic Jurassic Park logo, and it is beautiful. Really nice, very nice vibrant yellows and reds like we know and love from Jurassic Park, but I absolutely love the base here. Really nice touch on the part of this Loot Crate figure. And then you have the Tyrannosaurus, which the Tyrannosaurus actually had the tail disconnected, but I just put it on here to bring it in and look at it. And there's a little spot here where we have to put our pegs in to stand our Rex up on the base, and now you can see how cool that looks right there. And then you actually also have an even cooler little extra, and that would be the When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth banner. And you can see a little spot right here that we go ahead and we'll put that in there. But before we do that, I really want to take a nice closer look at this figure. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Rex, you can see that the actual sculpt of the dinosaur looks really good as far as staying nice and faithful to that Jurassic Park T-Rex look. I think the overall appearance to the head sculpt looks pretty much just like Rexy or Roberta, whatever you would like to call her. You have some very nice detailing there in the eye area, as well as just generally some nice detail throughout the entire head sculpt of the Rex. Some areas look a little muted as far as the detailing goes, but for the most part, I definitely think it looks quite nice. However, they have given it an absolutely terrible looking dry brushing with like a light gray or a white over top of certain areas in an attempt to bring out some of that detail, but instead of bringing it out in nice looking fashion, they've brought it out in pretty ugly looking fashion. And you can also see right here, there is a spot of sloppiness as far as the paint goes that's kind of run up here onto the upper part of the mouth of the dinosaur. You can see the teeth here are actually kind of sloppy looking as far as the paint goes. It's really sloppy looking for the most part, actually, when you go ahead and get a look at this side. And I think that's why some of that paint has run up there onto the mouth area of the dinosaur. The inside of the mouth also appears to have some sloppy paint. You can see some like little droplets of paint that have ended up inside there on the tongue, but the actual sculpt and detail in there looks alright. There's not really too much going on there on the inside of the mouth on the upper side, but the tongue looks pretty nice. It's just the actual paint is pretty sloppy. You have some nice detailing right there on the sides of the mouth as well. Again, you can see that almost obnoxious dry brushing here that you have all over the dinosaur, similar to the Iron Studios Dilophosaurus that they released, where they had just kind of tons of really weird and awkward looking dry brushing over top of it. This figure also has that same sort of a deal going on, but you can see the eye paint looks fairly decent, a nice yellowish coloration, and only a slight bit of sloppiness right there. Nice black pupil as well, and you can see the same deal over here. But again, the actual sculpt is nice, just the paint is not so nice. The actual tones used look okay, I guess, and you can see some variations of color. Like some areas they've applied like darker colors, like darker browns and then lighter browns and like almost tannish type colors in certain spots. So there is some nice color variation, and it's pretty much like your basic gist of a paint scheme for a Jurassic Park style T-Rex as far as a mass-produced figure goes, but it's just nothing amazing, I will say that for sure. As we move down into the neck, you can see some pretty nice creasing going on, some nice skin folding and everything in the neck region of the Rex. Moving down here into the actual body, you can see some more really nice skin texture going on. The rib cage is showing here a little bit in the sculpt, and actually the skin texture here in the stomach region I think does look really quite nice for the most part. Again, we have some more of that somewhat awkward looking dry brushing, but for the most part that does look really quite nice. The arms I think are a bit too large even for a Jurassic Park T-Rex. They just generally look like they're a bit too big in comparison to the body. It does have some nicely painted nails on the hands, and the actual sculpting of the hands and arms looks pretty nice. Does show some nice muscle definition and everything. It's just that the actual size I think is just a bit too large. But once we come back here to the hip bone, you can see the hip bone is present a little bit there. You can see some skin reacting there to the movement of the body a little bit. Some fairly nice looking musculature here in the leg, as well as the kneecap present right there. You have a nice calf muscle, and generally the entire leg sculpt there does look really nice and very muscular looking. The foot sculpt is actually gorgeous looking, I will say. That's a beautiful Jurassic Park style foot sculpt, as well as some nicely painted nails down here on the feet. We have the dew claws present, but of course they didn't paint them because nobody ever does. And then looking back here at the tail, again some more nice looking skin texture in this area. You can kind of see the skin playing off of the movement of the leg there coming from the tail as well. Lots of creasing as we come back here into the tail, and then we have a nice curve in the tail. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. It looks a little awkward with the way they've sculpted it. It just kind of gets super flat right there, but at the same time I think it looks okay. You can see a little peg right there for the tail to go into the base as well. Then looking over here at this side, you can see some more really nice skin detail here in the neck region. Lots of skin folding and everything going on down here on the bottom, but like lots of creasing and everything in the neck as well. And you can definitely pick up on some of the different variations of brown that are included on the figure with like lighter and darker browns. You can also see that very large arm sculpt of the Rex down here. This is of course the side of the Tyrannosaurus that we never get to see at the ending scene of Jurassic Park when it's letting out its roar. So it's kind of interesting to have a little bit of a look over here at this side of the figure. You can see the rib cage again, and I really do like the skin texture here in the stomach region. I think that looks quite phenomenal. You can also see the skin texture here as the skin is kind of stretching off of the body, with the body turning, stretching, and pulling this leg back. That is a pretty nice looking area as far as like attention to detail goes. Some more decent skin texture up here. The hip bone again is present, and you have that nicely sculpted out leg back here with some nice musculature, quite beautifully displayed. Some nice creases in the knee, and then again the kneecap itself. But the foot sculpt I really do like. I think that is pretty much a perfect Jurassic Park T-Rex style foot sculpt. And then coming back up here again into the tail, lots of creasing going on as we move out the length of the tail. Very nice curve again in the tail, just like we had seen in the film. The underside does sport some pretty decent detail as well. Unfortunately, they did miss this area, which is kind of a trademark of a Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus, where it has a very trademark style of the scale detail there on the underside, like kind of a bit of a larger type of a scaling, and they did not apply that to the Rex, but it still looks pretty darn good for what it is. I will say that, just the paint isn't that great. And then of course we have the base itself, which we had seen previously, but now with this nice closer look you can see how incredibly nice looking and vibrant it looks up close. And then just some information here actually that's upside down on the back as far as Lootcrate and all of that. And then we have the banner itself, which also does look extremely nice and pretty much perfectly resembling the banner from Jurassic Park. And this has a little peg back here and a little spot right here, so you just kind of take those two and you're going to apply them, if I can find the right spot. And once you push that in, now the banner just kind of sits on the Rex and kind of completes that scene from Jurassic Park at the end of the film. Definitely a really cool figure, and I'm quite excited that I now have it in my collection. Again, the figure goes into the base like I had stated, with these little pegs on the feet and the holes on the base, and does stand really nicely. And there's also a spot for the tail to actually go in as far as the peg goes. And there we go. Everything is now complete as far as the pose and display of this figure. But as far as a size for a length on just the Rex, I don't really know where a good spot to measure it would be. It's about 7 inches or 18 centimeters from the head to the end of the tail right here. The height is about 6 inches, a little under if you go from the ground up. You don't go from the base, so there you can see is about 5 3/4 inches or about 14.5 centimeters. And then for the base, if you're going to look at a width On the base, it's about 6 3/4 inches or about 17 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our really cool Lootcrate Tyrannosaurus Rex. And you can see next to these figures that the figure actually sports some pretty darn good size, a good bit larger than I expected it to be, honestly, which was really impressive. When I initially opened the box and pulled it out just a few minutes ago, I was actually quite blown away by the fact that it was larger than I expected it to be. It kind of looks like the Hallmark Jurassic Park T-Rex ornament that they had released a while back, so I was kind of sort of expecting it to be a similar size as far as that goes, but it is quite larger overall, and I think, honestly, a pretty darn impressive looking model. So this Loot Crate exclusive Jurassic Park T-Rex model is really, really cool. There is definitely some downsides to the figure, like the paint application isn't all that great. There is some pretty obnoxious dry brushing in certain spots, as well as some really bad sloppy teeth, and the inside of the mouth also sporting a little bit of sloppy paint to it. And there's also a little bit of a downside as far as the sculpt goes. In certain spots, like the tail looks somewhat awkward, sort of in certain areas, and then the underside doesn't really have the correct underside to a JP Rex. But overall, I still think it definitely looks really quite cool, and those are all just kind of minor nitpicks, aside from the teeth. I mean, the teeth look pretty rough. That definitely could have been improved, but for the most part, all of these are minor nitpicks, and overall, I think it looks really cool. The sculpting of the Rex does sport some really nice detailing within, and for the most part really does look just like the Rex kind of did from Jurassic Park at the scene that this is portraying. I love the fact that they've included that banner as well, just really completing the scene and just sets the entire thing over the top as far as the appeal factor goes. But I think they have done a good job overall on the appearance to the Rex and really making sure that it looks very much so like the Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus did. The base as well is just like the icing on the cake. I love the base with that fantastic Jurassic Park logo down there. The idea to create that as the base, whoever came up with that idea, kudos to you, because it's nothing amazing, but it was a good choice, a very, very good choice, and I think that's probably the thing that makes me like the entire thing more than I probably would have if it just had some random base. I really think that the Jurassic Park logo being the base was an absolutely awesome touch on the part of this Loot Crate figure. As far as this complete set goes, even with a few downsides, it's still fantastic, and I am extremely happy to now have it here in my collection. So if you would like to pick one of these up, they are definitely not something that's very easy and cheap to get a hold of usually, but I will include a link to somewhere on eBay where I know that somebody's selling one, because again, this was released quite a ways back, so I don't think it's obviously readily available anymore, as Loot Crate is kind of a monthly thing, I believe. I'm not too sure, as I've never really ordered one, but I don't think that you can still purchase these. Pretty sure the only way at this point to get it is probably on eBay or somewhere like that. So I will try to find a link to include in the description for you guys, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you buy this figure if you are interested, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you also actually hit that thumbs up down there if you have enjoyed this video, as that does help the channel overall. But otherwise, make sure you check back for more reviews, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.